Hello, hello. I'm Josephine Moon. Welcome to today's big book discussion of what are you reading for better reading. And I just wanted to start by welcoming Fergus on today as well. Fergus is our newest puppy. He's 10 weeks old. He's a golden retriever. And the relevance of bringing him on is actually that I'm really hoping that we can train Fergus to be a reading support dog for kids in schools. Many years ago, I sponsored a dog for a few years for story dogs who take dogs into primary schools, and the kids get to practice reading. He's very sleepy today. The kids get to practice reading to dogs who are, totally non-judgmental and just think that they're great no matter what they're saying and doing. So I know a lot of you have seen a lot of photos of Fergus already. So I just wanted to bring him in for a couple of minutes so that he can have his proper live media debut. He's a bit sleepy. He had a big morning. All right, I'll have to put him down or I'll just keep gushing over Fergus the whole time. There you go. All right, I'll put him down. So jump on in. Please tell me what you're reading. I would love to hear what you're up to. Hi, Emma. Hi, Mary Lou. Mary Lou's joining us from overseas you have to remind me which country you're in because she's traveling all over Asia at the moment. Hi, Christine. Hi, Marie-Louise. Thank you for joining us. And I will just introduce you if you don't know who I am. My name is Josephine Moon. I am an author, and my latest book is The Wonderful Thing About Phoenix Rose, published by Penguin. And Phoenix Rose is about a 35-year-old neurodivergent teacher who needs to she answers a call to help of her friend down in Tasmania who is very sick and needs help to take care of her animals. And so she rushes down there to help her, and then things take an unexpected turn, and she ends up becoming the custodian of a cranky old dog and a couple of cats and some chickens and a deaf but cute Shetland pony who loves coffee. And she has to bring them all with her from Tasmania up to Brisbane, and including across Bass Strait. So it's a big journey, and she brings in some help from a friend. Well, she meets a new friend called Lily, and Lily's really interesting. She's got such a beautiful heart. She's so sensitive, and she speaks with a kind of quasi Jane Austen accent, and she's steampunk sort of dressing, and she's just a really, really beautiful, wonderful, lovely character. She's one of those dream characters that just sort of turns up for writers, I think. So that's the book that I've got out at the moment. So if you don't know me, this is the book that's currently out there in the world, and I just love that cover. Just say that at every chance that I get because I think it's totally beautiful. But please do tell me what you're reading. Christine says she's reading The Rush by Michelle Prack. I've heard a lot about that, and I see it online a lot. Carolyn said she's just read Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica, I'm assuming that's Al, or maybe, which was shortlisted for the Miles Franklin, and a wonderful book. I'll have to keep an eye out for it. I hadn't heard of that one. Hi, Melvina. Thank you for popping in, saying hi. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Kerry. I thought I have a question for you. This is such a great opportunity because I have so many questions for all of you. And one of the ones I want to ask you is, what are your favorite animal stories? Because I'm obviously a huge animal lover. I wrote a whole book. I have written animal characters into all my stories, but I just took the opportunity with Phoenix Rose to write, an absolute arc full of animals and to really indulge my love of animals in that book. So I would love to know if you're an animal lover, you love reading about stories about dogs or cats or horses or whatever it is, I'd love to know what your favorite ones are. And I thought I would bring along, and this leads into my second question, I thought I would bring along this book. This is the oldest book that I own. The poor thing is looking a little worse for wear. So it's lost its dust jacket. It's lost the back of its spine there. I've got to put a little tack in there to kind of hold bits together. And of course, it's beautifully colored on the edges and mildewy and stuff. But this is such a special book for me. Some of you might know what it is because I do bang on about it a lot. This is a collection of James Herriot's vet stories. My sister gave me this book for my 16th birthday. So it's also inscribed at the beginning, inside. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, about how you don't really see that anymore. There were so many books in our house when I was a kid that came from who'd belonged to aunties or grandparents or something. And they were all sort of written in with these beautiful inscriptions, and it's happy birthday, or it's on your graduation, or, these sort of really, really personal messages, which I don't think we see a lot of anymore. We don't tend to, I guess books are a lot more accessible now than they were then. So maybe they were sort of, it really was very, very special to get a book. And so I'm glad that I've got this one with this beautiful message in it from my sister. If you're wondering what it looks like today, I got a new copy as well, because, why not? And that's currently the cover, which I think, look, weirdly enough, I haven't actually watched the series. I probably should. I would probably love it. But yes, that's the book. But I got a new one because I just thought this one's now getting a little bit damaged and precious and probably a bit vulnerable. Christine says she loves James Herriot too. Yeah, and I know recently I posted about it and loads of people said how much they love it. But I also listen to them on audio. It's my preferred way of reading is via audio. So, and then I have to say the narrator for these is just superb. His accents and everything is just divine. Morning, Tars, or afternoon even. She's reading The Other Wife by Michael Robotham. Very popular author, isn't he, Michael Robotham? He's got so many books out there. Mary Lou just said she's read The Horse by Geraldine Brooks, and says it's astoundingly and surprisingly brilliant. I have heard a lot of really, really good things about that one as well. Jay says, love Dog Stories by James Herriot. And Black Beauty, Eves, I think it's Ives or Eves. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Black Beauty, I'm totally with you there. It's one of those books that's absolutely life-changing, I think. It's the kind of book where I go, wow, like if I could have only written one book in the world, that would have been the book. It is an amazingly moving and astounding book. It really, really is. And Gail says the same. Always think of Black Beauty. You must read it again. It's one of those stories that just really sticks with you. And it was her only, it's popped out of my head now, the author. If you do know what it is, pop it in there. It's the only book she ever wrote. She wrote one book in her life and that was it. And it's just, I think a masterpiece. So what else is in there? Some of my favorite animal stories. This is from Christine. Says, Dewey the cat, that the library cat. It was a stray cat and who embedded himself into a family, not a family, a library, a community, sorry, is what I'm trying to say. And Juliet Henderson, hello, how are you going? Says Lyrico, which is about a horse. It's a favourite childhood book. Can't remember the author, but it's wonderful. Anna Sewell, thank you. Yes, that's the author of Black Beauty. Kate Roberts says, I'm reading The Secret Book of Flora Lee and loving it. I'm about to talk about Flora Lee, so thank you for bringing that up. I will talk about it in a moment. I did want to share some of the books that my book club have been reading lately. This is and I had to do this on paper again because I'm an audio reader, so I don't always have the actual books around. But this is, you see that? All That's Left Unsaid by Tracy Lian. This book is, it's a challenging read. It's about a young woman whose younger brother is murdered in a cafe at his sort of graduation from high school, his celebration. And for some reason, even though the cafe was full, there's no witnesses who will speak anyway. So she's taken it upon herself to track down all of those witnesses and find the real story. Now it's the characters, well, the main character is the daughter of Vietnamese immigrants to Australia. And so there's a lot of that really interesting and thoughtful sort of observations and reflections about being that sort of generation, having to walk in those two worlds and having all of those cultural experiences on both sides. And one of the things we talked about at book club when we were discussing this was how much it almost felt like we couldn't even see Sydney in the book. It was such a different version of Sydney. So there's lots and lots in that to think about. As I said, it's not an easy read, but there's so much in it. It really is. And it's so deep and has just cracked open so much insight into that Vietnamese world. So it's a great one for that one, a good book club discussion book as well. And the next one that we are reading is The Bookbinder of Jericho. And I know loads of you will have read this already. I've been hanging out for it. I was hoping someone would pick it for a book club read. And so we are. So my book club has, we've been going now, this is our 4th year. And we, one of the very, very first books we read together was The Dictionary of Lost Words. And it was such a huge book for us. We were just mind blown, you know, with the information in it, as I'm sure many, many of you had the same experience. And it just opened so much discussion, and we still talk about it, you know, here and there it pops up. So we were really keen to get to this one. And Mullaney Bookfest is on early August. And so a lot of us were on the Sunshine Coast. So a lot of us said, well, why don't we go up there and we'll join in the book fest, because this is one of the books they're reading as well. So we've chosen that one for our next one. So if you have read it, let me know what you think about that one. I'm sure it's great. I have no doubt at all. Jenny also reading The Secret Book of Flora Lee. Going to talk about that one, as I said. Gail says, love the Jam Queens. Thank you very much. You know, I was looking for a copy of the Jam Queens this morning in case I needed to, in case someone referenced it. And I can't find a copy of the Jam Queens in my house. I don't know where they've all gone. This is an advanced copy. But anyway, this is the copy of the Jam Queens. And I wanted to take that moment to say thank you to Better Reading readers, viewers, voters, because you guys voted in the Jam Queens to the top 100 last year or the year before. So I'm really, really grateful for that. The same with the Cake Maker's Wish as well. You voted in both of those, and I'm really grateful. So thank you, Better Reading people. That's really, really cool. And so much so, actually, that those 2 books got put into a double in Big W at one point, which was pretty cool. That's never happened to me before. So thank you for that. Sandra says, loved both the Pip Williams novels. They are, I agree. Well, I haven't read the second one, as I said, but I'm sure it's going to be great. Meredith says, love your book covers. I do have great book covers. Every time a new one comes out, I think this is my favorite. This is definitely my favorite. And then another one comes out, and then I think, no, this is my favorite. So they obviously are really good because I love them, every single one of them. And Viola says she loved my latest book. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. Now, I'm wondering if anyone in this list has talked about, did I ask you about book clubs? I don't think I did. So I started talking about them, but I wanted to ask you. So I will tell you, first of all, I will confess that prior to this book club that I've now been in for 3.5 years, I had a checkered past with book clubs, I have to say. I've had some very hit and miss experiences with book clubs, and I think I felt like a perpetual failed book clubber. I sort of kept starting and then I couldn't go, or I didn't feel like I fit there anymore, or the whole thing fizzled out, and it just kind of kept not working. So I was slightly worried when our book club started. But of course, it's been great. It's awesome. We have such a great time, and that's great. But I'm interested in other people's experiences of book clubs, and whether you've also experienced that, or whether it's all been brilliant, or you've been going to the same one for 20 years. And if you have had a successful book club, what do you think is the secret to having a really good, successful book club with longevity, I guess, and just that sort of consistency? I'd love to know. Kylie is rereading Twilight. Never actually read Twilight myself, though I have friends who have absolutely loved them, had them all, reread them. So they're totally with you on that one. What else have we got in here? Oh, what should I show you? Oh, okay. Let's talk about Flora Lee, because I know a few of you have mentioned that now. This is The Secret Book of Flora Lee. I was really lucky to get an advanced copy of this. I don't even know now if it was the end of last year or if it was the beginning of sort of early this year. And I'm quite a slow reader, so it's very rare for me to get through an actual physical book. But I just loved this so much. It is, I have to say, it's my book of the year so far. I just loved it. And I just recently listened to it on Audible, and it's just great. I just loved it. I loved it. And I love how sometimes reading the book is a different experience to listening to the book, in terms of, you know, the narrator can give it different emphasis on different words, or, you know, the way it sounds a bit different than it did in your head, but I just loved it so much. So I probably should tell you what it's about, right? It's about, it's set in the early stages. Well, it's set between two time periods. It's set in 1939 in World War II, and then 20 years after that, and sort of that 1960 stage. And so what's really interesting about this is about, and I sort of knew this. So you know how at the beginning of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the kids were put on a train and sent to go and live with this, I think it was their uncle, I can't remember now, out in the country. And this is what, you know, they did. They decided to keep the children safe and took them out of the cities and sent them out to the country, which is such a, it's such a horrendous thing to think about as a parent. It's just, I'm putting my kids on this train and I don't know where they're going to go, and I have no idea who's picking them up at the other end in a lot of circumstances. So it was so eye-opening. It was so moving just to even imagine that, and then all the things that could have gone wrong after that happened. And so this is what's happened. These two girls have gone off to live in the country. They have found themselves a home to be in, but then one of them disappears. And so for the next 20 years, the elder sister has been wondering, looking, and hoping that the younger sister is still alive. So the whole thing is about that. And there's so much bookishness in it, right? So it's sort of based around a book, and about the way stories kind of travel around the world, and how stories have truth within them, and the stories we tell ourselves to survive in the world. And it's just gorgeous. It really, really is. It is delicious and yummy, and just, really, 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 really great. So something really great is going to have to come along and replace this to be my top book of the year so far. You never know. It might be that one. But so far, that's it. So, yeah, it's been a really, really great read. Jessie says, never been to a physical book club, but is a member of 4 book clubs on Facebook. 4, that's amazing. Are you reading every day, Jessie? Well, obviously you must be. To be doing 4, that's incredible. Good for you. Louise says, hi, Josephine, I'm reading The Tea Chest at the moment. Oh, thank you. The original, which, do you know, I don't have a copy of that either. The only one I could find was a Norwegian version. So that's basically what it looks like. But that's the Norwegian version. And I have a few of these. So if you speak Norwegian and you would like a copy of one of these, do email me and I'll see if I can pop one out to you. In Australia, it's a bit pricey to send them overseas. But yeah, let me know if you can speak Norwegian, because there's a few there that I just don't know what to do with, really. Natasha says, I was in a book club for 15 years and I only put something, I don't think it might be a typo there, but I only stopped, I think, because moved away, and it was great. We had a theme each month. Oh, that's interesting. I often wonder about that too. And with 4 to 6 picks that a person would devise and facilitate. 4 to 6 at once, are you saying? That's incredible. Allows for different exposure, interests, and success. I've actually heard that one person talk about their book club works in a way where they just go and read whatever they want to read, and then they come together and they have a meal or whatever it is, and they basically champion their book as being, you know, this great book that other people should read. And then they just swap books, and that's their version of the book club, which I think is pretty cool too. So often you get, you know, really diverse interests within one group, and that's really one interesting way to sort of, you know, go, well, here are all your choices and you might like this one. I think that's pretty cool. Malvina says, also in a few book clubs, love them all. One's been going for 38 years. Amazing. I feel like you should definitely be having a 40th celebration somewhere, something really, really, really good. Like, I don't know, go on the GAN maybe. Highly recommend it. It's a great train trip. Wendy says, a bit late joining in. Oh, good. Just finished Dying to Know by Ray Cairns. Wow, great book. Now onto The Money Club by Fiona Lowe. That's awesome. Thank you so much for both of those. They're popular books as well. I keep seeing them around and seeing lots of people talk about those as well. Mary Lou says, the book club she was in on the Sunshine Coast made dinners based on the book. Yeah, I love that. We started doing that too, actually, in ours. And well, not dinners so much, because we were very much a fan of the cocktails and cheese platters. And so we had themed cocktails for quite a while. And then, I don't know, I'm not sure what happened. A few of us stopped drinking. So that was one thing. So the cocktails kind of went off. And then we sort of moved things from an afternoon to a morning. And so you can't have cocktails at morning. And so now we have like this sort of brunchy kind of thing going on, which is great. We love that. That works really well too. But I am missing the cheese boards, I have to say. I'm going to have to find another excuse to bring regular cheese boards into my life. Eve says, I'm a fantasy fan. Makes it hard to find a book club. That's kind of the opposite of what I would have thought, actually. I would have thought that, you know, fantasy readers are so much fantasy readers that they would find each other and have little hangouts online and around the place. So that's interesting. I know libraries often, you know, coordinate book clubs and people find each other that way through libraries. But yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I had more questions for you. I think I was going to ask you, what is the oldest book you have in your house? So mine is this very, you know, broken down version of James Herriot's books, but what is the oldest book you have? I'd love to know if someone's got one that's, you know, 50 years old or something like that, that is really special to you, and why it's really special. That would be really cool to know as well. Kate says, I'm reading The Money Club at the moment as well. We had someone else to say that before, and just finished Snapshots from Home. Very good. What else have I got in here to show you? I'm going to show you this. This is my non-fiction book that I am reading at the moment. I have been banging on about Julia Cameron for 20 years. So 20 years ago, many of you will know Julia Cameron from a book called The Artist's Way, which is about, it's about how to live, I guess, in a sort of, as an artist in a world that doesn't really support artists. It's probably the best way I could explain that. But it's kind of, it's an artistic recovery. So it's about sort of recovering your inner artist. And I completed the course as a 12-week course. I completed it with a group of friends, and we met every week and we did all the exercises together. And it was really, really amazing. And it was really transformative. And I've often said that book taught me how to be a writer, not how to write a book, but how to live, I guess, as a writer with those sort of conflicting things of artistry and commercialism and criticism and expression, and just lots and lots and lots of things like that. So I do have my original copy somewhere, but I also couldn't find it. You might start to realize that I'm a bit disorganized. It's in the house somewhere, but I thought I would get one of her newer ones just to try again. So this one I've just dipped into, and it's already great. Everything she writes is really, really great. So if you're a Julia Cameron fan, I recommend that one too. And she's got heaps out as well, like heaps of books that she's written over the years. Jane Harvey says, this is, I think, her oldest book, a book called The Poems by A.A. Milne, with A.A. Milne, of course, being the Winnie the Pooh creator, unless I've got that twisted. That sounds beautiful. And I think poetry is so amazing, and so we just don't get enough poetry anymore, I don't think. I think it's such good kind of fertilizer for the mind, you know. It's so non-linear and it's so just expansive, really, really expansive. And Jay has the famous 5 collection that belonged to her mum. So it's about 70 years old. Wow, that must be incredible. And that's a lot of books. Hey, there's a lot of books in that series. I was just talking to someone the other day, and I think Mary Louise, who's in here at the moment, we were just talking the other day about Enid Blyton and all of her, you know, the absolute huge quantity of books that she left all of us, and that so many of us I know grew up reading. But that is one of the series of Enid Blyton's that I didn't ever read. So I should probably pull it out and have a look. Oh my gosh, Viola says her oldest book is about 110 years old and is a collection of Grimm's fairy tales. Viola, I'm wondering if this book is behind glass somewhere, or can you touch it? Is it fragile? I want to know more about that book. That I just think there's secrets and magic buried in that book. I think that sounds incredible. Thank you for sharing that one. What else have I got in my pile here? What else is everyone reading? Oh, Ebony says she's reading Keeping Lucy by T. Greenwood, and it's really good so far. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to look that one up. So that's Cool. Thanks for sharing that. The other one I read recently, which I did post about as well, was Belinda Alexandra's book, Emboldened. Sorry, my camera goes the opposite way to what I think it will. The Emboldened is such a great read. I mean, Belinda's a great writer anyway, right? But it's a nonfiction book about many of her ancestors and how they'd been through very traumatic and difficult times and the sort of strength that they found to pull themselves out of that situation. And it's really good because we often hear about this sort of idea of intergenerational trauma, but Belinda is talking as well about that intergenerational strength and how much we can inherit strength from those people in our past, our ancestors that have been through so much before us, and that we're certainly not the only people who are struggling and suffering at times. That we have it's in our genes. It's in our genes to survive, and and it's there and we inherit it all. So it's really, it's good. It's a really optimistic and empowering book, I think. Ross is reading Dust Off the Bones, and that's a crime novel. Glenda says she's read the Wheel of Time series twice and also likes Robin Hobb. And what else is in here? Oh, well, that's really lovely. Thank you. Meredith says she enjoyed my segment so much today. Thank you. Hope I get invited back again sometime soon. I don't know if the right people are listening. Maybe they will have me back. You never know. I think really you might just want to see Fergus again, right? Oh, don't blame you, really. He's pretty gorgeous. If you came in late and you missed, you have no idea who I'm talking about. Fergus is my 10-week-old golden retriever puppy who popped in right at the beginning for a couple of minutes to say hi. And he's practicing being a media dog. So he's practicing learning how to take selfies and to turn up on the screen as well. Jan says one of the oldest novels they have is Return to Jalna. It's a 1948 book my parents-in-law read to learn English. How interesting. I think that probably happens so much, people learning another language by reading the book. Mary Lou, who's in here somewhere and traveling around, maybe you can start to learn a new language in whatever country you're in at the moment. That sounds really, really interesting. Carolyn says, thank you. Well, thank you very much, because you're right. We are finishing up in just a minute. So if anyone's got anything they really need to get in to the comments, you have a very, very quick minute to get it in. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for coming along today. It's been so lovely. Thank you so much for having me along. It's been great fun. And I do hope we get to chat again. So thank you so very much. See you later.